not like you're a doctor preparing for surgery, but like you're a normal teenager. All right, so we have a test on Friday. That was too much time lost. It's Wednesday. I have no lunchtime support available. Sorry, I've got to leave here right at 10:15. Don't get in my way. I will knock you to the ground to get to my car. However, you just had a quiz delivered to you. And, right? Everybody just got a quiz? Yeah. Roberto did that. Nice job, Roberto. Okay, the quiz. If we had a little bit more time, you would take the quiz in class tomorrow. It would be closed notes. It would be timed. All of the things to get you ready for the unit test and make sure that you're really fully ready. We don't have time for that because what I wanted you guys to have is more practice time, not more testing time. So tonight's homework is to take the quiz. Now, because you are taking this at home, just like we did this weekend, feel free to use your notes. I think that would be a very, very good idea. You cannot talk to anybody else about this. You cannot get help from anybody else about this. Don't bother emailing me at 9 o'clock at night. I'm not going to email you back on this one. Okay, even though you are a DeRozier, and I think you became a DeRozier first, I'm not going to offer any support. This is due tomorrow. And just like I did this weekend, if this, counting it as a quiz, helps you, I will count it as a quiz. If counting this doesn't help you, then I'll just count it as a homework assignment. It is absolutely counting. If you're not getting it done tonight, you're going to get it done tomorrow during lunch. What I really care about is you're making sure that you are ready for success on Friday's test. Everybody okay? 4, 7, 11, 14, 16. I don't see Ivan and I don't see... Wait, Jose. Oh, no. He's never absent. All right, well, we'll get the video. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Friday's test. Friday's test is going to cover all the things, all the derivative rules. So you really need to make sure that on Friday you know the quotient rule. And the quotient rule, everybody? Oh, so sad. Low D high, Ashley. Low D high minus high D low, low, low. Yeah. Okay, we also need to know that the derivative of natural log of x is what again?
1 over.
Derivative of natural log of x is 1 over x. Now here's the thing. Ms. Cooper, who teaches at Southeast, and I, we used to share a couple of classes, and oh my God, it was a nightmare when it came to natural log. Because for some reason they thought natural log was just 1 over x all the time. The derivative of natural log of f of x, what's it going to be?
1 over f of x times f prime of x.
1 over f of x times f prime of x. You guys are so much smarter than all those kids at Southeast that we taught that year. I'm so glad that is done. All right, so let's get some hands on this. Derivative of cosine of stuff. Derivative of cosine of stuff.
Sine.
Beto, and then you're frozen.
Negative sine of stuff.
Negative sine of stuff, not good enough. Times the derivative of the stuff. Wait it, just be there and pick it up for him. Okay, derivative of e to the power of stuff. Kaylin, e to the power of stuff. Is e to the power of stuff? Don't make Pedro steal your candy again. Times the derivative of the stuff. It's chain rule stuff, friends. Derivative of tangent of x, everybody needs to know. Derivative tangent of x, Ashley.
It's secant squared of x.
Yep, secant squared of x. Stop there before you say something wrong. Okay, derivative of cosine of x. Jose, derivative of cosine of x.
I was catching his
You what?
You could have
Negative sine of x. Just take the candy and shut up. Okay, derivative of square root of x. Have to have this one memorized. Have to. Hey Zeus, what's the square root of x?
1 over 2 square root of x.
1 over 2 square roots of x. Now here's the thing. I might also, because I'm just mean, ask you to find the derivative of the cubed root of x. Have a quick strategy conversation with somebody near you. This is not memorized. What would you do if you were asked to find the derivative of the cubed root of x? Boom. Yeah.
Is it 1 over 3 square root of x?
Is it 1 over 3 square roots of x? Absolutely wrong. It's not that. What would you do? You don't have it memorized. What would you do, Pedro? What smart thing could you do?
Oh wait, I was going to say the end.
No, tell me what smart thing you would do so that you would find the right answer. This is not one that anyone has memorized. Evelyn, help me out. Cubed root of x is the same as x to the 1/3. Evelyn's opened the door. Everyone knows what to do now. This is the power rule. 1/3. Oh.
No.
Oh, I heard negative 1/3. Shame.
Negative 2/3.
Negative 2/3. And because I'm mean, I bully teenagers all the time. You should have seen me out trick-or-treating last night telling people to tuck in their shirts. 1/3 x to the negative 2/3 power is not, okay, 1/3 x to the negative 2/3 power is not ever going to show up on the multiple choice part of the test. I will hide it from you. X to the negative 2/3, set it to the denominator. Okay, so we're going to get 1/3 to the positive 2/3. That's not going to show up either. X to the 2/3. 2/3, x to the 2/3 power. It's on the exponent rule right behind Carlos. You guys have it on the light blue piece of paper. X to the 2/3 power, you need to take the cubed root of x squared. So this would be 1/3 cubed root of x squared. All right, we got 2 pieces of lifesavers left. Derivative of arctangent of x. This was the new kid on the block. We did this one yesterday. Arctan of x. Evelyn's making a move. She's flipping through the unit guide. She's making good decisions. Eric has lost the will to live. Come on, Eric. You can do this. Kaylin, what you got?
1/x squared plus
1/x squared plus 1. Yeah, you caught one of them. All right, so here's where we are. If everybody could go over to page 37. I don't know if this is a good news or a bad news. I'll let you decide for yourselves. We don't have time to do a proof in the way that I would want to. I have, however, sent you guys all a video to last year's Calculus BC class where I went through and I proved some derivative rules. Oh, Delia, can you maybe scoot over there so that you're not in the way of the camera? Okay. Derivative arctan of x. Everybody needs to know derivative arctan of x. We talked about it yesterday. Kaylin just shared this with us right now. 1/x squared plus 1. In an ideal world, if we had all the time that I wanted, we'd also develop the formula for the derivative of arc sine and arc cosine. We don't have time, so sad news. I'm just going to tell you what they are. We're in Sad Panda. I'm just going to tell you what they are. Derivative of arc sine of x is 1/the square root of 1 minus x squared. Derivative of arc cosine of x is the negative of the square root of negative 1/the square root of 1 minus x squared. You just need to know them. For those of you that have your derivative foldable, if you didn't add those on there yet, you should have them on there now. You just need to get these memorized. That's just how it is. Okay? Really, I would love to prove these. I just can't do it, Delia. We don't have time. But if you watch the video that I emailed everybody a little bit ago, you'll see like we're going to work through the proof. You'll see it. It'll feel very college-y. We didn't do this one, but it's identical. It all works the same. So here's where we're going to go. Those are the basic ones. Now I want to look at like then what's the derivative of the more complex one?
Thank you.
Thanks. Derivative arctan of f of x. If you know how to find derivative of arctan of x, you now also know how to find the derivative of arctan of f of x. How many of you guys are feeling pretty good? You think you got this? I see one. What? Yep. If you know the derivative of arctan of x is 1/x squared plus 1, what does the derivative of arctan of f of x have to be? Jose, what do you got for me? Jose, you gave me like the secret signal that you felt good about this.
Oh, 1/x squared plus 1.
1/x squared plus 1? I disagree. Derivative of arctan of x is 1/x squared plus 1, but I've got derivative of arctan of something more complicated. Arctan of stuff, somebody might even say. Ashley, bail them out. What you got?
1 over f of x squared plus 1.
1 over f of x squared plus 1. I like it, I don't love it.
Times
Times
f prime of x.
times f prime of x. Why?
Because it's the chain rule.
This is the chain rule version of that derivative rule, and I think we get this under control. All right, so derivative arc sine of f of x.
1 over square
Okay, 1 over
square root
square root
1 minus f of x squared
1 minus f of x, the whole thing squared,
times
times f prime of x. And I realize right now you're feeling cheated out of your education because you're just trying to memorize this new one. It's going to be okay. Derivative of arc cosine of f of x. Everybody knows this one too. Negative.
1 over
square root
1.
minus.
God, I can't even write fast enough. You guys are saying it so fast and so proud. So mumbly. Negative 1 over the square root of 1 minus f of x squared times f prime of x. This is just what they are. Make a flashcard, get it memorized. There's at least one question like that on the quiz tonight, and everybody's going to be okay. So what I want to do is I want to work through 3 model problems. They're going to get progressively harder. I think for the most part, this first one, you guys should be fine. See what you can do while I take attendance. I'll circle back around and we'll talk in just a minute. Man, I'm so glad you picked up on the fact that you're a derivative. I shared that with my daughters the other night. They're like, they don't say that. Some of the other 12th grade teachers have even asked why you guys are saying that as often as you do.
Times 3 to the oh no, times e to the.
You can think of 3 and
Alright, derivative arc sine of e to the 3x. I'm seeing some good stuff. 1 over square root 1 minus e to the 3x, the whole thing squared. Pretty good. Times.
Can you see?
And here's where I'm seeing the mistake. Right, this is just the form. You're plugging it into the recipe. 1 over the square root of 1 minus the stuff squared times, I'm going to write it this way, times the derivative of e to the 3x. Because you have to go find the derivative of e to the power of 3x. Okay? Getting here gets you 1 point, but you have to know how to find the derivative of e to the power of 3x. Oh, I just said it out loud. I just said the word of. So chain rule. What's the derivative of e to the 3x? E to the 3x times 3, because there is a chain rule happening here as well. So your final answer is 1 over square root 1 minus e to the 3x squared times e to the 3x times 3. And I'll tell you that if this was free response, this would probably be worth 2 points, and you would have earned both of them. How many guys would have earned both points? Okay? Probably, if you had this form correct, but you made a mistake over here, you'd get 1 point. How many guys would earn 1 point? A whole lot of folks are going to get either 1 point or 2 points. But here's what's going to happen. We're going to get to multiple choice. And I will hide this sucker from you. I will hide it. I will use my algebra skills that you all have to hide it. Anybody see any ways I could hide this from you? 1 over square root 1 minus e to the 3x squared times e to the 3x times 3. What's a way I could compact this a little bit? Hide it from you. Okay, I hear Jose talking about this e to the 3x times 3. This is the same as 3e to the 3x. Okay, 1 over all this stuff times all that. Isn't that really the same as 3e to the 3x over the square root 1 minus e to the 3x squared? Yeah, that's good. There's one more thing. Last class did not see this. We had like 5 shots at it. Nobody got it right. What else could I do? Think about your algebra skills here. Delia, what do you see?
Can you take off the square root because you multiply that twice?
So here's the problem, and that was one of the things they saw. They said, oh, square root and the square, these guys are going to cancel. The problem is this subtraction sign here. You can't distribute the square root. You can't say square root of 1 minus the square root of all that squared. So that's, good try, but that's not it. Jose, what do you say?
Can we like square root the 3, the e to the power?
E to the 3x, the whole thing squared? This is exactly it. This is how I'm going to simplify this even more. Now think about that. E to the 3x squared means e to the 3x times e to the 3x. E to the 3x times e to the 3x. What is that? E to the 3x. This is no longer a calculus issue. It's an algebra issue. This is e to the power of 6x. Abraham, why e to the 6x? The bases are the same. We're multiplying. What's the rule? Add the exponents. Okay? So the best answer out there is going to be 3e to the 3x divided by square root of 1 minus e to the 6x. That's the all the way right multiple choice answer. All the points rain down from the sky. All right, with that said, see what you can do in number 2. These are going to get progressively harder. Delia again. Juan, Vega, Jackie, Kaylin. All right. Yeah. Yeah, so if you want, I can replace that one. Okay. All right. So, most people seem to be off to a good start. Okay, f of x equals x right next to arctan square root of x. What's really happening there? This is multiplication, even if I don't write the dot. So if it's multiplication, you know that in order to find the derivative, prime. Okay. F prime of 1 first, you find f prime of x. Product rule says take the derivative of the first, leave the second one alone. So most folks have this on their paper. 1 times arc tan of the square root of x plus, now you leave the first one alone, times the derivative of the second part. And because that's the tricky part, that's where I'm just going to say, all right, hold on for a second, and let me write it down. I've done my product rule, derivative of the first, leave the second one alone, plus the first times the derivative of the second. Now I get to focus on derivative of arctan square root of stuff. Derivative over here, derivative of arctan is 1 over stuff squared plus 1 times derivative of the square root of x. And you guys have that one memorized. 1 over 2 square roots of x. So we've got 1 times arctan of the square root of x plus x times all that stuff. I'm curious, how many of you guys have that as your derivative? Got 1, 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. How many of you guys started off product rule doing okay? And then maybe blew it over here somewhere? Okay. So here's the thing. 2 points for the derivative, not done. Because now you're going to plug in 1. And if we're talking about the free response, all that you need to do, the only thing that you need to do is everywhere there's an x, plug in 1. I wouldn't even do anything crazy like try to simplify it. If you're able to do that, congratulations, 3rd point comes your way for free response. But let's push for multiple choice. Things that I can do to make this better on the multiple choice. Some of these are obvious. Some of these should be obvious. What do you got, Beto? Jose, what do you got for me?
For the derivative of arctangent, the one says 1 over square root of 1.
Yep.
Isn't it 1/2?
Okay, this is the same as 1/2, right? Square root of 1 squared is going to be 1 plus 1, we're going to get 2. So this guy over here is really the same as a half. 2 times the square root of 1, pretty obvious, it's still going to be a half. And we've got the 1 in front. We've got 1 times arc tan square root of 1 is 1. I'll tell you, that's good. You're moving it down the field. Things are good. Not done. Right, the 1 times a half should be pretty obvious. The level that we're at, that shouldn't be any issue. Here's where I think things are going to go badly. Arc tan of 1. There used to be a time when I taught Calc AB that would be a great answer and you could stop here. That's no longer the world that we live in when it comes to the AP exam. The College Board is expecting that you actually know what this is. And this is a pre-calculus issue now, not a calculus issue. So can I go back in time and be your pre-calculus teacher for a little bit? Okay, Eric nodded along, so I'm going to take that. The notation arctan of 1, there's a question that's being asked here. And the question that I'm asking you is, the tangent of what angle is equal to 1? That's what arctan means. What angle do I know of that has a tangent equal to 1? There is an angle that you need to know where the tangent's equal to 1. 45? That sounds like you said a degree answer. 45 degrees is really pi over 4. If you're not sure why Juan said 45 degrees, which is pi over 4, how do we find tangent? If I'm on the unit circle, what has to be true? Tangent is sine over cosine. It's also opposite over adjacent. If the opposite and adjacent have a ratio equal to 1, that's another way to say that they are equal to each other. So 45 degrees. There is another one if you go down to quadrant number 3. We're not going to have that conversation. So your final answer here is pi over 4 plus a fourth. That would be the all the way simplified answer. Or maybe they'd go to pi plus 1 over 4. Your calculus is good if you can get here. The only thing standing in your way of going all the way across is trig, not calculus. All right, see what you can do the next one. This is the last one we'll get a chance to talk about. Arc cosine of 2x, find the equation of the tangent line when x equals square root of 3 over 4.
So I just remember when we did this inverse right? Yesterday we were doing inverse, not like using
Okay, a lot of folks seem to have gone straight for the derivative. That's great. Walking around, I just saw 6 people with the right derivative. Derivative arc cosine of stuff, negative, don't forget that negative, square root 1 minus 2x, the whole thing squared, times 2. How many guys honestly have that as your derivative? Love it! Why? Why did anybody even bother finding the derivative? Kaylin, why did we bother finding the derivative? You're asked to find the equation of the tangent line, but why do you need to find the derivative? You're right, but why? How do we find the equation of the tangent line? Because you need a point and you need the slope. And the slope of the tangent line comes from the derivative. We're okay? Ashley, stay with me. All right, so that means now you have to find f prime of the square root of 3 over 4. Well, that's not too bad. Negative 1 over the square root, 1 minus 2 times square root of 3 over 4, the whole thing squared, times 2. Right? All I did, replaced x with square root of 3 over 4. And if this was the free response, Pedro, my advice to you would be, stop. If it's all a number, stop. Don't simplify. Don't anybody simplify. Are we okay? Yep. All right, we've got the slope. Where does the point come from? Where does the point always come from? The point we know has an x value of square root of 3 over 4. Where does the y value come from? The y value comes from going back to the original function. So what's the y value? F of square root of 3 over 4 is arc cosine of 2 times the square root of 3 over 4. And if you don't know how to simplify, don't. Don't, it's fine. So let's write it. Equation of the tangent line. I need my slope, all this crazy stuff. Negative 1 over square root 1 minus 2 square roots of 3 over 4 squared times 2. Because all this means get a new marker. Get 2 new markers apparently. All that means slope. Times x minus square root of 3 over 4. Plus the y value, which is arc cosine of 2 times the square root of 3 over 4. That is a perfect 100% all the way right answer when it comes to free response. So here's what I want you guys to do. You've got 4 minutes left. Option number 1. Those of you that are curious about what does the multiple choice version of this look like, I'm going to work through that up here. Those of you that are like, nope, I'm just going to settle for free response, hope and pray that that's where it shows up, and you just need some practice with the derivative rules, go to the next page. Go to the next page. On page 38, I would expect that in 4 minutes, truly in 4 minutes, you should be able to complete problems 2, 3, and 4. Don't worry about the pre-calculus review question at the top. Show me what you can do 2, 3, and 4. Where are the friends that want to work with me on simplifying this hot mess? Because you're thinking about multiple choice. I see Kaylin, I see Abraham, I see Naum, I see Jackie. All right. And maybe there's going to be some others as well. Jackie, can you turn the camera so that I come over here? All right, so okay, here's where we are. We know that f of square root of 3 over 4 is arc cosine of 2 times square root of 3 over 4. So for the friends that are with me, arc cosine of 2 times square root of 3 over 4, you're going to want to simplify in here first probably. 2 times square root of 3 over 4. I can reduce and make this square root of 3 over 2. So what I need to know is what's the arc cosine of square root of 3 over 2. And in my head, I see this and I change it to the question, cosine of what angle equals square root of 3 over 2? What angle has a cosine of square root of 3 over 2? And if you're not sure, draw yourself a triangle. Here's the angle. Which side is the cosine side? Cosine is the adjacent side. If that side there is square root of 3 over 2, this is a side length that you need to know. If that's square root of 3 over 2, then this side over here has to be a half. And across from the half, that's always going to be a 30-degree angle. 30 degrees is the same as pi over 6. So the arc cosine of square root of 3 over 2 is going to be pi over 6. As for the derivative, f prime of square root of 3 over 4, we're going to have to go fast here. We've got negative 1 over square root 1 minus 2 square roots of 3 over 4 squared times 2. 2 times square root of 3 over 4, we just saw this. Jackie, hi. You're sitting right in the front. It's easy to see when you're not with me. 2 times square root of 3 over 4 is square root of 3 over 2. Square root of 3 over 2 gets squared. Square root of 3 over 2 times square root of 3 over 2. If you need to do it on the side, do it on the side. Square root of 3 over 2 times square root of 3 over 2. That's square root of 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So you've got 1 minus 3/4. Just real quick. 1 minus 3/4. Wait, 1 minus 3/4. 1/4. Square root of 4. What times itself is 1/4? 1/2. 1 divided by a half is 2. So negative 2 times 2, your slope is going to be negative 4. You put the whole thing together. L of x is equal to negative 4 times x minus square root of 3 over 2 plus pi over 6. I think where we are after 30 minutes is the calculus, not too bad. It's the trig that's going to be a little bit icky in this part. You've got the take-home quiz tonight. Use it well. Do well with this. It can only help.